up, guys? It's Peachy. This is my Ready Player One review exclusively for you guys here on YouTube. I just had to talk about this movie. I know it's been a couple weeks since the movie's been out. Actually, a week and a half? 1 week? I don't know. Either way, I had to talk about this movie because it's very special to me, and it means a lot to me, and I am a massive, massive fan of the book and the author, and I have to recommend it to you guys. Hopefully a lot of you have already seen it and can watch this full review. If you haven't, no worries. The spoilers are going to be at the end, and I will give you ample warning before I start talking specific spoilers. And if you haven't seen it yet, hopefully this will tell you a little bit more about it, and I can give you my recommendation to go see it because it's amazing and everybody should see it. It's so, so great, and that theater experience is just, it's not going to be the same at home. I'm going to start by telling you guys the good in the movie, the things that I love the most and think why I think it's a good movie. And then I'll move into some of the not so good things because nothing's perfect. So just some of my little nitpicks about it. And then I'll end with some of my favorite scenes from the movie specifically. And again, I will warn you of spoilers when that time comes. First and foremost, this is a fun movie. It's just fun from start to finish. I mean, I have a huge smile on my face the entire time. It's great. Whether you're a gamer or, someone who likes nostalgia or not, it's just fun. And it's Steven Spielberg, and he knows how to make movies that everyone will enjoy, no matter your age, race, gender. And it holds true with Ready Player One. I loved it. My teenage stepdaughter loved it. My parents have seen it. They loved it. My 70-year-old mother-in-law saw it and loved it. So, I mean, it's really for all ages. It's just super fun. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes long, but it goes by fast. It's a fast movie, and I'll get to that later. Why that's both. I think that's both good and bad. But it's very fast. The whole way through. You're not gonna get bored. It's gonna be just a ride from start to finish, and it's just great. It's great. One of the other things that I love is the CG. The CG in it is just it's stunning and it's beautiful, and it's the detail in their faces, and you really want to see it in the theater because of that. The movie, if you know nothing about this movie, the movie is it mixes CG and real world. There's both in this movie because it's about virtual reality. So of course you go into the virtual reality, the Oasis, and it's completely CG. And it's done so well. The characters are so beautiful, and they're expressive. They're very expressive. The emotions on their faces is very apparent. That's another thing that I love is just you can see the emotion on their faces. Just like a real actor. It's just amazing, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. I'm a huge fan of the book. I've read it 5 times over the past 7 or 8 years since it's been out, and so I'm going into this as a huge fan of the novel, and I was glad to see that the characters' personalities, especially the main 3 characters, Parzival, Artemis, and H, the banter between them, their personalities came out very well in the movie, and it's just fun to watch them on the screen and to hear them interact with each other. It's great, and then the voice acting from the actors, for when they're in the Oasis, it's just phenomenal. It's really, really good. There's a lot of humor in the movie, but it's more of a dry humor. There's nothing really that makes you want to belly laugh out loud, but it's gonna make you giggle. It's the writing with some of the jokes, the timing for some of the lines is very good, and will definitely put a smile on your face. It was the right balance. I don't think it was a story that you want to belly laugh out loud. You know what I mean? So I thought that was done very well. The portrayal of Halliday in the movie, he's this is back of the box stuff. He is the creator of the Oasis, and the portrayal of him, the actor that played him, his acting and how they portrayed his social anxieties and things is absolutely brilliant. I mean, it touches me. Every scene that he's in, absolutely touches me. Like, I just want to reach out and hug the character. It's just, his portrayal is so beautiful. I mean, they couldn't have gotten someone better to play Halliday. And I don't know the actor's name off the top of my head. I apologize for that, but brilliant performance from Halliday. And one of my other favorite things about it is for fans of the novel, it is very different from the novel. But what I like about it is it is still filled with references to the novel, references to scenes, references to items, and all of the main characters are in the movie, of course. It's filled with there's some direct quotes from the novel taken directly from it. I mean, I got giddy, every time it was like either a direct quote or direct description of something in the book. And I'm like, I remember that. I just wanted to point at the screen and go, I know that. So those parts for fans of the novel are going to be a real treat. You're going to see some of those exact scenes. You're going to see some of those, even exact quotes from it. And so it's beautiful watching these locations and these scenes and these interactions come to life right on the screen before you instead of in your imagination. So very different, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. Very different from the book. So do be aware of that. I guess I'll move on to some of my suggestions as far as watching it, and I'll start with if you are a fan of the novel, if you've read the novel, especially if you've read it recently, so it's fresh in your mind, all the details. It is very different from the novel. Like I said, all the characters are there, all the locations are there, but the journey they go on is very different. There are a lot of details that are very different. A lot of them are understandable because of, making this epic novel that was not supposed to be filmable. Ernie wrote it, thinking this is never going to be a movie. This is going to be impossible to be made into a movie. And it was. And shoving it into 2 hours and 20 minutes is a little bit of a stretch. So there's a ton that's omitted from the movie, and there's a lot that's changed. But a lot of it is understandable why they had to change it in order to put it in as one movie. I would have loved to see it, of course, as like a trilogy, but I understand why they didn't. But my recommendation for fans of the novel, I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard people, fans of the novel, saying they loved it. I've heard fans of the novel saying, I was a little jarred by the differences. See it more than once is my biggest suggestion to novel fans. See it more than once. I've seen it 3 times now, twice in 2D, once in 3D, and admittedly, my first time seeing it, I came out of it, smile on my face. I loved it. I feel good. But I was jarred as a fan of the novel. I literally read the novel right before I saw the movie. It was jarring. The differences were jarring, even though I went into it saying, have an open mind. Don't compare it to the novel. It was almost impossible not to do that for me. But seeing it the second time, when all of that, the surprise, the shock from the differences was completely put aside because I knew exactly what was coming, so I could watch it just as a movie, it was amazing. So the second time I saw it was like the most enjoyable time I had because I could just sit back and have fun, and that's exactly what I did, and it was amazing, and I loved it. As far as seeing it in 3D or not, I think that's up to whether you personally love 3D movies or not. There was nothing in it really for me that stood out as like, oh my god, this scene is unbelievable in 3D. It was really good in 3D. The 3D is done very well. There's different 3D techniques that are actually used to tell the story, which is really cool. For me, especially in the real world scenes, it really enhanced the immersion for me. But for me, in my opinion, the 3D takes away clarity, and there's so many beautiful details in the faces of the characters. And with all the references, if you like the references to other franchises, of which it's loaded with references to other franchises throughout the entire movie, because that's what the book did. You're going to want to see those details. You're going to want to pick stuff out of the background. You're going to want to see the expressions on the characters' faces. And I think that's best in 2D. So really my recommendation would be see it at least once in 2D and at least once in 3D. If you're only going to see it once, I say go with what you enjoy. If you generally enjoy 3D movies better, see it in 3D. If you don't, then definitely 2D I think is more than fine. I'm going to see it in 2D the rest of the times that I see it. I've already seen it 3 times, so I still can't wait to see it again. But I'm an uber nerd of the novel, so I'm just ultra geeking out. All right, so I want to move on to some of the things I didn't like about it, just some nitpicks, because like I said, nothing's perfect, and I want to be real. So here's the real part. Here's some of the things that I thought were not my favorite. I really did not like the portrayal of Sorrento, which is the main bad guy. I something about the portrayal of the character, even though I know that Ben Mendelsohn was not trying to replicate the character from the book, he just wasn't evil enough to me. He wasn't evil enough. Like, I wanted to see more just more passion from him either way. He just seemed like this very stereotypical businessman bad guy to me. I didn't like it. I don't need him to be like truly diabolical and evil and nasty, but I thought he was too lukewarm the other way. Personally, that's my personal opinion. That was probably the number one thing I didn't like about the movie, which is unfortunate because he's the main bad guy. But yeah, so I did not like Sorrento in this movie. I thought he could have been a lot more expressive. He could have been a lot more. I wasn't scared of him at all. I wasn't scared of him. Going back to the story moves very, very fast in the movie, especially, of course, compared to the book. And it's hard for me to not compare it to the novel. So I'm sorry for anyone who's like, oh, we can't compare it. I can't help it. So I don't blame the movie, because you're trying to shove this massive epic story that takes place over years in the book and compress it into 2.5 hours. And that's extremely difficult to do. And I think they did a good job for what they did, because it does keep you entertained from start to finish. It is so fast and it goes by, like, it does not seem like 2 hours and 20 minutes. So that part is good. The bad is that the story then lacks detail. So there's good and bad to that, and so there was a downside to the story moving so incredibly fast, and that was one of the things that was a nitpick for me. Spoiler time, going on to a couple more things that are nitpicks for me, and then on to my favorite scenes from the movie. So we're gonna end on a good. But this is spoiler territory going forward. I'm gonna get more detailed, talk about more detailed scenes and characters. So if you haven't seen the movie, I would suggest stopping here and going to see it. And then coming back and seeing what I think, and I want to hear what you guys think too, of course. So please let me know what you guys thought of the movie, good or bad, what your favorite scenes were. Spoiler territory here. One of the other things that really irked me in the movie that I thought was unfortunate was the extra life coin that Parzival gets, that is very crucial to the end of the story, right? I was so happy that they kept the cataclysm, because that was just amazing. I loved that part of the book. It's one of my favorite parts of the novel, is when the cataclysm is detonated, and you really can't have the cataclysm detonating and killing everyone without the extra life coin, without Parzival having that. Unfortunately, the way Parzival obtains the extra life coin in the movie is so cheapened compared to how he gets it in the book. And I won't go into details, even if you haven't read the book. But in the novel, Parzival works for that extra life coin. He earns that extra life coin, and there is a reason why he is worthy of being there at the end and having that extra life. He earns it. He does a major accomplishment in gaming to get that extra life coin. And in the movie, I understand that they couldn't go into that huge side plot because it is kind of, even in the novel, like a side chapter. And I understand why they couldn't do all that in the movie. But just getting it for, like, you know, winning a bet, you know, a side bet, for, you know, from the curator. It was because of, I was going to say he didn't really earn it, but it was because of his intimate Halliday knowledge, I guess, because, you know, he knew something that even the curator didn't know. So, I mean, I guess in that way he earned it with his knowledge, but it just felt better in the book that he got it from making a major accomplishment in gaming. So, something else was, and again, understandable, but there were not really any gates per se in the book. I guess the last one there was kind of a gate, but in the novel you have 3 keys and 3 gates, and each one is its own challenge that you have to overcome. In the movie, you overcome a challenge to get the key, but then the gate just either kind of appears. The first one wasn't even a gate. You didn't like put the key in something to get the clue. It just kind of appeared. But then the second one, you did put the key in to get the clue, and then the third one you had to put in all 3 keys, which I actually like that. But yeah, so that was a little, you know, I could understand why they can't have, you know, 6 massive challenges in the movie for time's sake. But it was just kind of like, I was like, where's the gates, you know? Especially the first one, like literally there was no gate. And also the gates, except for the final one, there really wasn't much like 80s knowledge. You didn't really have to know any 80s trivia or knowledge. Like that was so crucial in the novel was your knowledge of 80s culture and 80s movies and video games and your skill at those games and intimate knowledge of those movies was absolutely crucial to overcoming the challenges. And there really wasn't that in the movie. There was with adventure. You did have to know how to get the adventure Easter egg. But like that was really it. Even with like The Shining, you didn't really have to have an intimate knowledge of the movie. The only real knowledge they had, you had to have knowledge of Halliday to go into The Shining. But you didn't really have to know that much about the movie. You just kind of had to know, like, find the ballroom, find the connection to Kira, and you know, like, I guess it helped that you know that there's no zombies in The Shining. But so it's a little nitpick. It seemed like it was more about knowledge of Halliday himself and his life than knowledge about like 80s culture. And that was another thing, was there wasn't really an explanation as to why the main characters were obsessed with really 80s culture. And Parzival really was like the only one that was like super into it, because I love this scene in front of the mirror in H's basement, which I think was changed to H's garage. Where he's like trying on the different outfits and they're all like 80s themed, and you know, Michael Jackson and Buckaroo Banzai, which I loved that being in there so prominently. Duran Duran, like he's going through these 80s looks. So it's like Parzival was the one who was into the 80s. Whereas everything else in the movie was more modern pop culture, which is understandable, but they never explained, and I've seen this in other reviews, people saying like, why the nostalgia and why, you know, why, like there was kind of some 80s sprinkled in there. It wasn't explained well in the movie at all, I don't think, about why people love this older pop culture, and it's because Halliday was so obsessed with it, and that in the novel, that was the key to unlocking the gates. Like I said, you know, that was absolutely paramount. That was absolutely required that you have an intimate knowledge of movies and video games and culture, because Halliday loved it, and that was the key to finding his Easter egg. So it became a worldwide phenomenon that everybody loved 80s pop culture. So I don't think that was expressed very well in the movie, but it is what it is, I guess, for time's sake, and for, if the whole entire movie was 80s, it would have looked like it was from way past, so they have their modern franchises and stuff. Anyway, I can understand convenient things being done for plot's sake and time's sake, as far as, the high five all being in Columbus, all just happening to be in Columbus. That was definitely not the case in the novel. They were all over the world, and they didn't come together until the end. But I can understand that it's still a little bit out of the realm of reality. Like, even Wade, when he meets Samantha, he's like, we were this close the whole time. Wow. And then, Samantha happens to know H, and and they happen to know Daito and Shoto. And so that was a little bit like, really? But, again, I can understand why they wanted to bring them all together in person. It was for that feel-good movie feeling at the end when they're all together, working together in the real world, right? So I'll suspend my disbelief as far as that goes, but it was very noticeable that, this is awful convenient. Also, just a tiny thing, Artemis jumping on the zombies, that part, all 3 times I've seen it, that part made me uncomfortable. I don't know why exactly. It was just so awkward with her jumping on these floating zombies and they're falling apart and stuff. I feel so awkward the entire time. That whole scene, I just don't like it. I know the zombies, the dancing zombies are supposed to be like one of Halliday's first games. It's supposed to like represent that, whatever that is. But I don't know. That part made me uncomfortable the entire time. Every single time I've seen it, I was like, not this part. But that's enough nitpicks for now. Let's move on to my favorite scenes of the movie. My favorite scenes, the ones that stick out to me, make me smile, make me feel good. I look forward to them every viewing. And one of the big ones is Parzival going backwards in the DeLorean underneath the race at the beginning is one of my favorite parts. And I think the thing that solidifies it as one of my favorite scenes in the movie is the smile that is on his face, is like this childlike delight on his face that he figured this out. He gets to just breeze through it, and just the wind in his avatar's hair. The door of the DeLorean being open is beautiful, and I love the story behind that, where they were filming on a with a wireframe DeLorean, and Ty Sheridan sitting in the seat, and Steven Spielberg tells him to look behind him, look out the rear view mirror of the DeLorean, and he says, you can't look out the rear view mirror of a DeLorean. You can't see anything. And he knew that from riding in Ernie's DeLorean. So I love that story. And the scene looks so amazing having the door open, especially because the first time he raced, you see the doors come open multiple times when he's collecting the coins. And by the way, the first time the DeLorean materializes, that's just orgasmic. I just say that much. It's orgasmic. Yeah, when he's going backwards and he is so happy, the smile on his face, and it just, oh my God, it's just so amazing. Definitely one of my favorite parts of the movie. Love it, love it, love it. It just makes me feel good each time. I feel so happy for him, I love the scene with H and Parzival chatting in H's garage. It's such a cool scene between friends, and he's dressing and he's going through the different looks, and the banter between them. It's just great. I just love it. It's another feel good scene. You can tell that they're like best friends, and H is concerned for his friend, and I love it. And then it goes right into the distracted globe, which is one of my visually favorite parts from the novel, at the distracted globe, because the descriptions of everything that's going on in there, this zero gravity dance club, is just so cool. And I always loved the visual in my head, and the visual in the movie was just as good as the novel. So that part, the whole part, and they're dancing in the air, and doing with the disco floor, it all just, it's such a good scene. I love that whole section of the movie. It just makes me smile. I love IROC in the movie, his role in the movie is so drastically different from his role in in the book. In the book, he's really just like, he's just there to be an asshole, right? He's just there to be a jerk. You hate him. You kind of hate him in the book. Like, there's not really much that's redeemable about him. In the movie, I'm glad that he was in the movie. He was the perfect amount of comedic relief to Sorrento's avatar, right? Sorrento is all business, all serious, and IROC puts in that perfect amount of comedy, that dry humor. I mean, some of my favorite lines in the whole movie are from IROC. I mean, talking about his neck, talking about, I mean, when he's like, you know, when he found out who Wade was in the real world, and he's just like, well, your plan sucks. Mine would have been awesome and worked because I rock. I don't know. I'm the only one that laughs at that in the theater, but oh my God, it's so funny. It's so brilliant. I love it so much. His character in the movie is great, and I absolutely love him. I got 10 years worth of shit inside me. It's brilliant, and I love it. My favorite scene, I would say, is Halliday. Every scene with Halliday is my favorite because, like I said, his acting, his portrayal of Halliday is just, oh my God, like I don't know, I don't even know why, but it just like hits me in the feels, and I want to give him a hug, and I want to be his friend so badly. And it's just the portrayal of him is beautiful, and I love it. Especially the scene, the final scene with Halliday, where he's describing, you can feel his loneliness, and he's describing how, you know, he was never able to connect with people, and it wasn't until the very end of his life that he realized how precious the real world is. And you know, he kind of gives the message of the movie in that one scene, and it's just a beautiful scene, and the recreation of his room is so is very faithful to the book as well, with the yellow carpet and everything, and it's just a beautiful scene, and I feel for him so much. And Parsifal's standing there just like, you know, completely enthralled with everything he's saying, and Wade takes off the visor, and there's a tear running down his face. Like, I mean, I'm getting choked up just thinking about the scene and talking about it. It's a gorgeous scene, and I've seen it 3 times, and I have never not gotten teary-eyed at that scene with him. And I mean, I'm getting teary-eyed just talking about it. So like, Halliday touches me hard in this movie. Like, he really, really gets to me. They really portrayed him beautifully. It's one of my favorite parts of the whole film is his portrayal. But yeah, anyway, I've blabbed enough. If you've watched this all the way through, please leave a comment and let me know your opinions about the movie. I want to talk to you guys about the movie. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What were your favorite scenes? Have you not seen it yet? Have you seen it yet? I absolutely recommend that you go see it if you haven't, and just enjoy it for what it is. Enjoy it for what it is, a fun movie that anybody can enjoy. Beautiful, beautiful visuals and great characters, and I just loved it. And I want to spread that joy to you guys. So thank you for watching this. Thank you for letting me spread my joy and my passion to you guys. So that is my Ready Player One review. Thank you for watching. If you want to talk with me live about it, feel free to come by on Twitch at any time and talk to me. Link is down in the description. So I'm going to leave it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Take care, Peaches. Bye-bye. Mwah.